Hello and welcome to another edition of Today's Veteran. I'm Kate West, and on this installment, we'll visit with Raymond Mollison and Oliver Lima, President and Vice President of the Student Veteran Association at University of South Florida. Later, during our War Story segment, we will hear from Army veteran Mike Angelo and Navy veteran John Tobias. But first, stand by for your sitrep, Polk County, and prepare to copy. Everyone is invited to the dedication of the Polk County Purple Heart Monument on 7 August at Veterans Park in Lakeland. The ceremonies at 6 p.m. will be a culmination of many months of hard work by our local Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 535. Local and state dignitaries, including Florida Governor Rick Scott, are scheduled to attend. If you cannot make it to the event, be sure to tune in right here next month for some highlights. Save the date for the second annual Warriors for Freedom Golf Invitational on 1 November. I will bring you more details in a future episode. As part of the Honor Flight Network, Honor Flight of West Central Florida was established in 2010 as a regional hub to provide an all-expense-paid trip for World War II veterans in the Tampa Bay area to visit their memorials in Washington, D.C. The 12th mission is scheduled to depart on 17 September from the St. Pete Clearwater Airport. Plans are in the works for a future flight to depart from our own Lakeland Linder Airport, possibly as early as October. To date, 782 veterans have taken the honor flight from West Central Florida. For further information on how you can apply for a flight, become a volunteer, or donate to the project, visit honorflightwcf.org. The 33rd National Veterans Wheelchair Games wrapped up competition in Tampa on 18 July. More than 600 athletes competed in events including hand cycling, archery, and adaptive water skiing. The games even included a special Kids Day, where children with disabilities got the chance to learn from world-class wheelchair athletes. In the continuing story on the VA Claims Initiative to reduce backlogs, it was announced recently that the VA has now transferred over 30% of its disability claims from paper to a digital system and made them available to claim raters. The Veterans Claims Intake Program was established last September and begins with the paper claim being scanned at high speed and then converted into digital images. This is a key part of transforming the outdated paper processing into an electronic system that delivers claims decisions faster. Time is saved by eliminating paper folder transport, reducing manual data entry, streamlining the review of medical records, and standardizing correspondence with the veterans. To date, the VA has converted more than 165 million pages of claims documents and continues to add over 1 million images every day. Today, the VA's total claims inventory remains at lower levels than in August 2011, and the claims backlog has been reduced nearly 12% since the initiative began in April. The Army began assessing unnecessary barriers to service for women in 2011. By 2012, 14,000 positions were opened with the elimination of the gender restriction. This year, the Army informed the Department of Defense of the intent to open another 6,000 positions for assignments to women. The positions are expected to be in 17 active brigade combat teams, 9 National Guard brigade active teams, and Special Operations Aviation. These newly open positions have been filled with both officer and non-commissioned officer leaders to pave the way for junior soldiers in the near future. The Army's plan is to continue expansion of opportunities for women in this fashion and to open all remaining units and positions as soon as possible, but not later than 1 January 2016. The Army says that this will require an adjustment in recruiting efforts, assignment processes, and personnel policies. Air Force veteran and former president of the USF Student Veteran Association, Kirsten Downs, is taking a big trip to raise awareness and funds for student veteran associations. She's riding her bicycle across the country. Downs left San Francisco on 2 June with the goal of riding 3,800 miles to arrive on 5 August in Washington, D.C., the headquarters of the Student Veterans of America. SVA assists student veterans as they transition from the military into the academic setting. We spoke with the current president and vice president of the USF chapter about what they are doing to aid in the transition and how veterans on campus stay involved in the community.
Hello and welcome to today's show. In 1944, Congress enacted the Servicemen's Readjustment Act, which we commonly know as the GI Bill of Rights. They did that at that time to help our returning World War II veterans to be able to get into school, to get home loans, and also at that time to draw unemployment until they could find suitable employment. 3 years later, in 1947, 49% of the people enrolled in college in the United States were military veterans, so it worked. Over the years, there have been adjustments and changes to the GI Bill of Rights. In 1984, it was modified a little bit and became known as the Montgomery GI Bill of Rights after a senator from Mississippi who helped change some of the rules. In 2008, Congress signed the post 9/11 GI Bill, of which the veterans that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan are under now, and they're using that. It had some sweet benefits also. Today, we welcome 2 young men from the University of South Florida, veterans of our military service, and they're very active in the Student Veteran Association. We have the president, Raymond Mollison. We have the vice president, Oliver Lima. Welcome, gentlemen.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Glad to have you, bright, smiling, young faces here. What I'd like to do is have you maybe tell the audience a little bit about yourself, maybe your journey through the military and how you got to where you are now as a student at USF.
Oh gosh, the journey's it's long but short at the same time. I was 18 years old when I signed to go in the military back in 2006, right out of high school. Signed as a combat engineer, and right after I got done with basic training, I did my first deployment, 16 months to Baghdad, Iraq, and then it followed up with another 12-month deployment to Mosul in Iraq. And it was an interesting experience. I learned a lot. My experiences are valued because I learned a lot from them. And how I got to University of South Florida, you know, it's been a goal to get to a prestige college, and I'm finally there. And now I'm taking the great opportunity to be part of the Student Veterans Association and being really active on campus to help out student veterans.
Good. Oliver?
I joined the Army out of high school when I was in, it was 2007. I was 18. I waited a few months. I thought I was going to go to college first, and then about 2 weeks before classes started, I decided I want to join it. So I joined the reserves, joined as an intelligence soldier, and I deployed. I came home from training as a reservist, and about a year later I got deployed to Afghanistan, Kunar province, Waterpur, Pesh, and Korangal valleys. Was there for about 11 months, came home, and I started going back to community college in Palm Beach, where I'm from. My girlfriend, who I met in high school, she had gone to USF right out of high school, so it was kind of a goal to go there also. And a friend of mine in my unit, Brad, had graduated from there, and he said USF is a great school for veterans. So that kind of girlfriend went there, one of my best friends went there, and since I've been there, it's been great. And met a lot of great veterans, and that's one of the reasons I've gotten so involved.
That's great. That's great. Well, I want to get right into some of your passions and some of the things that the Student Veterans Association are doing now, and that's what we want you to tell us about. Maybe the organization itself, the red, white, and blue, the team red, white, and blue, and anything else you want to tell us?
We're doing a lot of great things at the University of South Florida. The Student Veterans Association has partnered up with Team Red, White, and Blue. It's a great organization that helps out veterans to get to be part of a community through social and physical activities. We do a lot of intramural sports, and afterwards we usually just like hang out, go to barbecues, have a good time with one another, try to build a really supporting network for everyone on campus. We're also working with, or we are part of the Office of Veteran Services. We have a lot of work studies that are part of the Student Veteran Association that work there. And we're also part of the Veterans Reintegration and Innovation Research at the University of South Florida. And we're able to really get a full concept of helping veterans with their benefits, but also helping them enhance their quality of life through research and trying to help them out through their physical ailments. One of the biggest researches that the Veterans Research and Reintegration Committee is working on right now is KATSU. And KATSU is a great physical therapy that they're trying to back up with data to make it a valued research. And what it is, it helps rehabilitate osteoarthritis. So that's one of the things that we're really active to be a part of. Another thing is that we're also helping out student veterans get jobs. And right now we're working with trying to build a business partnership with Jacobs Technology. And that's currently in the works right now. And we're going to have something, by August to work with.
What kind of jobs at Jacobs Technology? What do they do?
It's going to be more centered on working as a help desk. It's more IT support. It's basically a great opportunity to get the foot in the door to get jobs to further their careers after college.
Okay. Tell us about a Mission Continues program. What does that mean, and what's your involvement in that?
It's actually my involvement. It's helped me intern with Team Red, White, and Blue. And basically what Mission Continues does is that they take veterans and they try to get them to be active within the community. And what you do is you apply for this internship program through Mission Continues website. And when you get done with the application process, they'll evaluate you, and once you're approved, and then you become tasked to like a local community nonprofit organization. For instance, I decided to work with Team Red, White, and Blue, and now that's what I've been doing my internship throughout the whole summer. And basically what I do is I'm the Veteran Outreach Coordinator, where I go to the VA and I talk a little bit about what Team Red, White, and Blue does for veterans. And just like what we do at the University of South Florida for student veterans is what Team Red, White, and Blue is at the Tampa community level, where we do a lot of physical and social activities. For instance, we do marathons, triathlons. We also do a lot of social things at the Homeless Emergency Project out in Clearwater. Out there we did a barbecue for the veterans, and we did an Olympics out there for them. And it's just basically a way to really become reintegrated back into the community. It's a great organization, Team Red, White, and Blue, and Mission Continues, because basically what they're trying to do is that they're trying to help veterans become part of something greater than themselves, like they had when they were in the military. When we were in the military, we were part of something greater than ourselves, showing selfless service and acts. With these organizations, we're able to continue that through Mission Continues and Team Red, White, and Blue.
Okay, that's great. And you say that's your internship this summer?
Yes.
So at the end of this summer, you will continue to be involved, or?
Yeah, I will still continue to be actively involved and working with Blaine Smith, who's the executive director with Team Red, White, and Blue. And I'll just be helping him and assisting him in any way I can to help build the organization to really reach out to all veterans.
Okay. And how far are you away from graduation or getting your degree?
The last time I looked, it put me into the fall of 2014 or the spring of 2015.
Okay. How about you, Oliver?
I should be graduating in the spring of 2014.
Okay. So you guys are going together. Tell us a little bit about the post 9/11 GI Bill and maybe your involvement with it. And all I've heard is that it's great, but there may be some stumbling blocks in certain areas, and how the SVA gets involved in that and helping fellow veterans.
Definitely. The post 9/11 GI Bill, as you stated earlier, was enacted in 2000, signed in 2008, started in 2009. It's the most significant increase to education benefits for veterans. What it does is, if you're rated at 100% based on 3 years of active duty service, you get your tuition, it's in-state tuition covered 100%, as well as a monthly basic allowance for housing, which for USF is going to go up in this fall semester to $16.62 a month. It also provides $41.67 per credit hour for books, up to $1,000 a year. That's enough to pay for your books for 2.5 semesters, really, if you wanted to pursue a summer semester. On top of that, there's also benefits for tutoring. You would pay for the tutor out of pocket, and then it could be reimbursed if it was a VA-approved tutor. The problems with it, it's not really the problems with the program, it's the paperwork involved. A lot of veterans aren't taught how to get their benefits rolling when they get out of the service. And that's really in the hands of the unit that they're coming from. In my case, I got pretty lucky. Our unit had a VA rep come and talk to us and teach us how to apply for the GI Bill when we came back from deployment. It's a simple application process. It's called a VON app. It's done on gibill.va.gov. The application, it's 9 pages. It's pretty in-depth, but a lot of the information is already loaded. Once that's done, you receive a certificate of eligibility. You would take that certificate to whichever school you attend. In our case, USF, you would use that certificate after you've registered for your classes. And our office has really streamlined the process for applying for your benefits every semester. Once you apply for the GI Bill, it doesn't mean you're going to get it every semester. You have to just let the VA know, I'm enrolled in this many classes, and it starts on this day, ends on that day. And that's where the office comes in. We have what's called a benefits request form. And we just started it online over the summer. That way veterans don't have to come into our office. It used to really slow down the process, have lines out the door. Now they just log in. It takes about 5 minutes. And what it does is they tell us how many credits they're taking, what their major is, and that's really all the information that we need from them. Then our office, we have work studies such as myself that go through and we approve the paperwork. We look up their schedule. We find the tuition and fees. We have people who code it based on, this is an on-campus class, out-of-campus class, and then we send it to a certifying official in our office. They certify it, send it to the VA. Once it's sent to the VA, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for approval, and then the money starts going. The funds are given to the school, and then the basic allowance for housing is given to the student at the end of the respective month. So if you're in school in January, you receive your check either on January 30th, 31st, or on February 1st. Sometime, at the end of the month. A lot of students don't know that the check comes at the end of the month, so they have to plan ahead for their rent because most people's rent is due on the first and not the end. Another problem is breaks, breaks between semesters. It goes day by day. It's 36 months of benefits day by day. So if you're in school for 2.5 months, it literally counts for 2.5 months. So that other month, that half month that you're not in school, you're not going to be getting money for. That's why we encourage veterans to, get jobs, because during the summer, if you're not enrolled in classes, you're not going to be getting money. And that's where a job like a work study program comes in. We're paid by the VA to work in the office. It's a minimum wage job, but it's an education benefit, so it actually works out pretty well. You work 50 hours, and then you receive a check from the VA. And it not only helps you learn about the GI Bill, but it also gives you a hands-on approach to helping students come into the school. Our office is really big on orientation. We like to get the new students in. We have a session during orientation. That's actually how I learned about the office, was at the orientation session. I met the director, Dr. Larry Brow, and that's actually one of the reasons I got a job in the office, is that I felt like it was a welcoming environment, and it has been. Another service that kind of goes along with our GI Bill is that sometimes classes that you might want to take might not apply towards your major. That's another thing that veterans don't know. If it doesn't apply towards your major or meet a graduation requirement, the VA is not going to pay for it. To offset that, our office has created a veterans class called Veteran Success, taught by Dr. Brow, and it teaches a lot of life skills that veterans might not have gotten in the military. In the military, everything's pretty much done for us, right, as any one of us would know. What this class does is it teaches you how to turn your military service into a civilian resume, and it teaches you about credit, job applications, the interview process. There's a employee mentor program where they try to find somebody who works in your desired field to teach you a little bit about the field. So it's a really good program. The office is doing a lot to try and make the process of transitioning from military to school a smooth process.
That's a valuable tool.
Definitely.
We're about out of time. Tell us real quickly about a young lady named Kirsten Downs and what she means to you and to your program.
She's definitely doing a great job. What she's doing, she's traveling by bike from San Francisco to DC, and she's basically trying to fundraise money for the Student Veterans Association nationally. She's doing a great job. I think right now she's in Arkansas, I believe.
Yeah, I believe she just made it to Arkansas.
And she plans to be in DC by August 5th. And she was our previous president of the Student Veterans Association. So
she's a USF girl.
She is.
Doctoral student. And her bike rides caught the attention of MTV which is the university channel for MTV, and they're doing a 3-part segment, I believe.
They're
on her journey.
Good. I've seen it on the internet, so I've seen her. She's out by herself and then with people. Before we leave, tell us how a veteran can get involved or can get in contact with you so they can get the ball rolling to get into school.
Yeah, if you go to our Office of Veteran Services at the University of South Florida, they'll have information about the Student Veterans Association. We're also on the website. If you go to USF, Office of Veteran Services, we have a link that takes you to our Student Veterans Association, and it has all the updated information of our new officers that have been voted in and point of contacts.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, listen, we're out of time. Thank you all for coming in and telling us about your story. And this is just an example of young people who are leaving the military, who are going to be the future of our country and the success of our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I first joined in '66, and I took my basic at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. From there, I went to Fort Lee, Virginia for my advanced individual training. And from there, I went to Fort Carson, Colorado, which was my stateside permanent station. And then in '67, '68, I went overseas to Vietnam, which I put in for Germany, and they sent me over there. The main thing is, if it wasn't for the military, I'd have never got to see some of the world that I've seen, Australia and Thailand and stuff like that. So I had good memories, especially when I went to Hawaii, because that was my permanent home base duty station there at Fort DeRussy. So, and then it was pretty enjoyable for the year, 10 months, and so many days I was in. We had a Purple Heart ceremony over here in the park where they were going to make a new monument, Purple Heart monument, for all the recipients, and my post here was good enough to nominate me as their recipient for the Purple Heart, which I am highly honored. Well, the Purple Heart is it's a cherished medal to me. I mean, not everybody wants to get one. I didn't want to get one. It's just unfortunate that I did. But anybody that has a Purple Heart, I know where they've been, I know what they've done, and I highly respect them for what they did.
I enlisted in the Navy in 1952. The Korean War, I got out of high school, ended up taking my basic training in San Diego, enlisted with 3 other people, and I was from Illinois, and Great Lakes was about 90 miles from my hometown, and I always had to be first, so I got in line first, and they cut the line off in back of me. My 2 buddies went to Great Lakes, and I ended up on a train heading for San Diego. So we finished boot camp in San Diego in '52, the end of '52, and I came home, and then I got orders, and I was in Pensacola at an auxiliary air station for, I don't know, year and a half, and I got orders, and I went to sea. I was aboard a destroyer for about 2.5 years. I was a gunner's mate. I ended up as a 3rd-class petty officer. I was the mount captain on a 5-inch 38 And I was lucky. I never had to go to Korea. I served out of Norfolk, Virginia, and we always were prepared. We'd go down on gunnery exercises to the Caribbean, and it was my gun on shore bombardment. I was the mount captain, and we had he was our chief torpedoman on our ship. My destroyer had 5-inch 38, 2 mounts forward, 1 aft. We had 4 torpedoes at midships. We had hedgehogs and depth charges, which were against our fighting against submarines, and we always had that. Well, anyway, I was the mount captain, and we were on gunnery exercises, and we had a defective shell. The 5-inch 38 operated with air power that pushed all the smoke out of the end of the barrel. It was a defective 5-inch 38 ammunition is 2-piece ammunition. You got a projectile and then the powder in a brass shell about 3 foot long. And we were controlled out of IC aboard that ship, which was the radar control. So I got contact with them, brought the gun back, and this chief, who was an observer, I had 14 men in that when we were firing that gun. And he came back and he says, I ordered stop firing. We trained on center line, we came back, and the chief got on me and he says, we wouldn't do this. It was the Second World War. You had to fight, you had to fire. And I says, Chief, you are here as an observer. I am the mount captain. It is my responsibility for these 15 men, and we will do nothing until we find out the cause of this gun, because I don't want anybody to get killed. Well, the chief never really liked me, and I really never got along with him too damn well, but he kept his place after that. He never did offer any more comments. So that's my story.
On this month in history, Japan surrendered to the Allies, effectively ending World War II in August 1945. Next month, we will bring you the story of a World War II veteran who was only just recently awarded his combat medals, including the Bronze Star. That's all we have for this edition of Today's Veteran, but remember, for help and information regarding claims, benefits, and services available to veterans and their families, call the Veteran Service Office or log on to the Polk County website.